I'm Sangam Bharti. Today we shall discuss one of the most controversial issues of our age, and that is embryonic stem cell research. Now the question is, as many conservative governments and societies have claimed, that embryonic stem cell research is unethical and it involves willful destruction of embryos and of life. The proponents of the research argue that the benefits to the society are immense and embryo does not qualify as being a full life. The issue that is going to be discussed is that who should be the judge as to embryonic stem cell research should be permitted or not. Why do we permit religious and moral guardians to take over issues that affect life and health of the entire human race? The issues can be further differentiated in basically science, the moral issues concerning the topic, ethics, and human rights. To understand the subject, we shall first understand what stem cell is. Stem cells are the mother cells of the body, and that produce other functional or cells that can do specific functions in the body. Stem cells are undifferentiated, meaning that they have no functions as nerve cells and muscle cells in the beginning, but they can transform into these. Stem cells produce copies of themselves and then progenitor cells that then become differentiated or functional cells. Defective stem cells can produce defective functional cells, which can harm the process of the body that is taking place inside the body. Aging is associated with the loss of these stem cells. Adult stem cells can be obtained from relatively safely from any adult with their consent of consent of such procedures, and from children whose parents or guardians have consented on their behalf. Now, the problem is that adult stem cells provide treatment for only few ailments. And for serious diseases like Parkinson's and organ transplant, embryo stem cells is a more probable source. The ethical challenges posed by stem cells in research is that they relate to almost exclusively to the embryonic stem cells only, not to the adult stem cells. The harvesting of these embryonic stem cells currently requires the destruction of the embryo itself, and this is unacceptable to those who believe that life starts at basically life starts when life starts at conception. Now, how does it work? In our body, that all these cells have the property of regeneration. Healthy stem cells grow into other cells which are specialized and result in healthy organs. However, with genetic changes due to exposure to chemicals, smoking, spontaneous mutation, loss of cancer immunity, aging factors, and other unknown factors lead these some healthy stem cells to become cancerous. Like, for example, the myeloma stem cells, which produce myeloma cancer cells in the blood and cause the blood cancer to generate in the body. What is the moral status of the embryo? Moral status refers to the moral value we give to the various beings with which we share the world, that is fellow humans and other animal species. Now, moral status also refers to the rights, if any, to which various beings are entitled. There is a widespread spectrum of opinions about the moral status of the embryo. There are two conditions that are required for personhood to be in place, namely the ability to reason and the capacity of self-awareness, which both require a certain level of brain function. Now, they say that because embryos do not have such capacities, they should not be afforded as being full personhood. They should not be stated as being personhood or have the full moral status. However, on the other side, it has been argued that some people, example, mentally incapacitated people and young babies, would not have the capabilities required for personhood. Yet, the society still considers them worthy of the full moral status. Arguments supporting my research are that the requisite research into cure of neurological illnesses like Parkinson's cannot be achieved without the use of these stem cells that are found in the embryo. Now we have to concentrate on the part of the embryo, not the adult stem cells. Research into adult cells has yielded very little progress on account of the difficulty of reprogramming an adult cell to develop into a particular neuron or tissue cell to do a specific function. It is possible that great understanding of these human cells will increase the utility of adult cells in the future. For the present, it is essential that embryonic stem cell research must be carried out at all costs. Now, we already accept that the creation of and destruction of spare embryos for cycle of in vitro fertilization treatments, and there are many cells, about 400,000 cells, which have been preserved in the states and in the laboratories, and which are being on the verge of being disposed. IVF facilitates the creation of human life. Stem cell treatment will allow the saving of existing human life, and the infertile will still survive. Now, the sufferers of Huntington's disease, or those who urgently require an organ transplant, these are some diseases which cannot be cured right away. They need a little bit of time and research that have to be put in to find the cure for these diseases. Thus, the moral argument in favor of allowing stem cell treatment is even stronger than in respect to IVF, that is, in vitro fertilization treatments. Human embryos cannot be regarded as the equivalent of human beings, on the ground that they could develop into a person or say another human being. Between 50 and 70% of embryos are lost naturally through failing to implant in the wall of the uterus. Now, the potential of an embryo to develop to make itself into a human is very small. As Peter Singer has observed, this approach would mean that every sperm and ovum should be considered a microscopic human being floating around. Now, moreover, until approximately 14 days after fertilization, the embryo can split into two identical embryos, two or more identical embryos. How can we consider an embryo to be an individual that lives or dies? Now, when it could be naturally developing into a twin or just be nothing at all. The new research will not only give a new lease to the needy and the unfortunate, but it will also give a boost to the